Okay, so today we're looking at Finance Solver again, but today we're going to be just looking at finding some of the other things. So like yesterday we were looking at maybe final value all the time, or we're looking for the final payment. But now we are going to look at where we can use it to find maybe interest rates, or we can use it to say like work out how long a loan's going to be, so the end and all that. So we'll go through that today. So let's have a look at our example here. It says Minja puts 20,000 into a compound interest investment. So remember, when you're investing, PV is negative, so it's going into the bank. And where it compounds monthly, so compound monthly means we can see that PPY equals 12. And then she also adds an extra $50 per month into the bank. So if she's adding it into the bank, that's going to be a negative payment. Whenever you're putting into the bank, it's a negative. She wants her investment to reach $40,000, so in 10 years. So what that's actually telling you is you want the FV to be 40,000, and it's positive because it's your money, her money, or his money. They want it to come back to you. Now, they said after 10 years, but because this is monthly, that means after 10 times 12 monthly payments. So into Finance Solver, you will put in the end, you're going to pop in all those things. So I've listed off the titles there. So we're going to put 10 times 12. Now, it says, what is the annual interest rate is the actual question. So often it's good to put a question mark on what you need to know. So we need the annual interest rate. So we got 10 by 12 PV. So it was negative 20,000. She's popped it in, or he or she popped it in. The payment is another negative 50, and we want it to get to 40,000. And its PPY is 12. So I want you all to give that a little bit of a go on your calculator and see what you get. Alright, so when we've tabbed through, we should have got 4.81. Now it's set to 2 decimal places, that's why I'm rounding to there. So we probably always do want to make a statement. So then we'll say it was 4.81% per annum, PA. That's fine. Okay, so what was the interest rate? That was the interest rate. Okay, this next question. Winston puts 20,000 into an investment. So that's negative PV, paying an interest rate of 5.1% per annum. So here's my I, and compounding monthly tells me PPY equals 12. So here's scenario A. If Winston wants his investment to be at least 40,000 in 5 years, so FV to be a positive 40,000 in 5 years, so that'd be 5 times 12. What is the minimum he will need to add each month? So that's a payment. What is his payments? So let's go have a look. So we need to find payment. So sometimes it's good to put the question mark on what you need to know, because then you know you have to fill in all the rest. So he wants this to be 5 years. He's getting an interest rate of 5.1. He's investing 20,000. He wants it to get to 40,000, and it's every month. So PPY, is 12. So is 12. So what we're going to do, we're going to type them in. We're going to tab through and make sure this one's clear and the rest are entered, and then you press enter. And when we do that, we hopefully will get a negative 208.34, and it said how much he pays each month. So we just might write a little note there. So this is negative because he's paying the bank, paying into the bank, because paying into the bank. So when the question is how much will he need to pay each month, you do need to write a statement. So the payments will equal, we don't want to see that negative, you need to write it as a number. So that's how much he's paying into the bank so that he can get his investment up to the 40,000 at the end of 5 years. All right, question B asks, if Winston invests 1,000 each month immediately after interest is calculated, what is the minimum number of months required for his investment to triple in value? So if his original investment is going to triple in value, that would be the original 20,000 times 3. So that would be 60,000. We want this to get 60,000. He's going to pay 1,000 in, so that would be a negative payment. And then what is the minimum number of months? So that means I'm making n the question. So if I write out all my little titles, and remember we're going to do this because that's how we show our working out for this. So the question was how many months. So if we go in and write everything else we know, they haven't changed the interest rate, so we're still that. He invests 20,000. He's paying 1,000 every month. He wants it to get to 60,000, and PPY is 12. So if you tab through and you get that through, go back up here, and we end up with what do we get? Okay, so we get 34.32. Now that means it's asking what is the minimum number of months required to triple the investment. Because it's gone over 34, it didn't get there at 34. So how many months do we have to say? What the minimum? Yeah, the 35. So we must say it needs, so the minimum months is 35 to get it to over to be so number of months is 35. Okay, so with this one, we've got it's going to be a reducing balance loan scenario. So once you see that, I've put a little reminder there. So if you go to your summary sheet at the back, reducing balance loans, when it's a loan, we've got our finance solver prompts. We know that PV's got to be positive because the bank gives you the money to go buy something, but your payments, you're giving it back to the bank, so it's negative. And your FV will be negative as long as you owe the money to the bank until it's zeroed off. So let's have a look here. SIFO borrows 10,000 to be repaid. So because he's borrowing it, the PV is positive, and it's to be repaid in 59 equal payments, followed by a 60th payment of less than $1 more than the regular. So we looked at them yesterday. We know when we get to the end of a loan, we have to adjust that final one so that it zeroes off nicely. So that's all they're saying. So really this thing will be 60 payments, but the last one's going to be adjusted. So it says interest is charged at 8% per annum. So you got an I there, and PPY compounding monthly is 12. So the first question, it says find the find the regular payment amount and round your answer to the nearest cent. So when you're trying to find the regular, so let's go through, let's type in our little titles here. Okay, so we know we want to find the regular payment, which is payment. So there we go. When you're finding the regular payment of the whole scenario, what you want to do is put that whole scenario in. So after 60 payments at 8% per annum, after he borrows 10,000, he wants to obviously have this loan paid off. So that would be, he wants it to be 0 and PPY is 12. So if he does that, if he borrows that at 8% per annum, we're going to get we pop in our enter there, and we see we get 202.76. So you can see I've started to round now because you definitely get more numbers. So I'm rounding to the nearest cent. And it's that rounding that causes the last payment to have to be adjusted, because we are slightly adjusting it when we round. So anyway, we got to write a statement, because we don't say we pay negative. We just say we make payments of 202.76. So we'll write a little statement. So then for B, it says find the final payment. So remember I said yesterday, when you're doing the final payments, so final payment, you do end to full term, yeah? And you check the FV, okay? So that's what we're going to do. So full term would be 60 again. Wait a minute, I'm going to just quickly write these out. So because we're going to adjust that last one, full term, we're going to say 60 because it was 60 payments at 8%. And if we borrowed 10,000, but now I'm going to pop in that payment of the 202.76. So I will use the rounded answer. This is what you need to do. You use your rounded answer from before. And I said, this is what I want to do. I want to check what, if I did that, what would be owing, or who would owe? Either the bank owes me, or I owe the person owes the bank. So let's have a look. When we do that, we end up with a negative 0.29. So what that means is, when it's a negative, you owe the bank. So because he owes the bank, he still owes 29 cents after that 60th payment. Because we did all the rounding, he's still a little bit, he still owes a bit more. So we're going to say, therefore, the last payment will be his regular one, 202.76 plus the 29 cents he still owes, because the bank doesn't want to keep it open for 29 cents. They don't want to keep that loan open for that. So he'll pay $203.05 in his last payment. Okay? So then question C, it says find the total of payments to the loan. So the total payments, well, he did 59 at the regular 202.76 plus that last one of 203.05. So if we do that, he total paid of 12165.92. Oh, sorry, that's wrong. 0.89. Sorry. Okay. And then for D, when they said find the total interest paid. So interest, that will be the total paid minus the PV. So if you look, the total interest he paid was 12165.89 minus 10,000. That's what he originally borrowed. So his interest was 2,165.89. So for him to borrow that amount of 10,000 from the bank at the end of the 5 years, he's paid the bank extra 2,165. All right, so with this one, we're now looking at an annuity investment. So a traditional annuity is one there where you put your money in, you're getting a little bit of interest, and you're going to slowly take it out with regular payments. So there, up here, it's helping you. It's got the little finance solver notes. So because you're giving the money to the bank originally, PV will be negative, but because the payments are coming out to you, you're getting it, they become positive. And your final value will be positive until you're finished, until you've exhausted it out. So let's have a look at this one. It says Joe invests $200,000 into an annuity, which with interest compounding monthly, so PPY is 12. And question A is, what interest rate would allow Joe to withdraw $2,500, so that's a payment and it's positive, for 10 years. So because this is monthly, that would be N is 10 times 12. So off we go. We should just write down all our things so we can know. All right, we've got the question. It says what interest rate? So that is the I is going to be the question, and I should be able to fill everything in. So for 10 years, he's going to have this, and PPY was 12. He invests $200,000, and he's going to receive regular payments. So he's receiving it, so it's a positive. And we want to know if he does this and it zeroes out, what interest rate will he need? So if we do that, interest should be the only one missing. And when we do that, it's set to 1 decimal place. So I get 8.7 there. So I'm going to write a statement of 8.7% per annum, or PA, that's fine. Okay, B. It says, assume the interest rate is 5% per annum and Joe receives a regular payment of $3,000. For how many months will Joe receive this payment? So now, N's become our question. So if I write them all out, okay, we know N is the question and we should be able to fill in everything else. So assume the interest rate is 5%, so I've done that. He receives regular payments of $3,000, so that would be a positive there. He's still investing the original $200,000, that's still the same. And we want to know how long will it last if he takes these bigger payments out. So ends the question. So we end up with an answer up here of 78.226. So it says, for how many months will Joe receive this regular payment? So you could word this, and as long as you justify it with your wording, you could word it a couple of ways. Someone could say you're definitely going to 78 months, yeah, because it's 78, he's going to get 3,000, and then they might give him an extra one in the next month. Or some people might have said he'll get 77 months of the 3,000, and then he'll get the 78th one will be larger with that. And as long as this one is open-ended a little bit, that I would be reading what you're writing, and you are justifying it. So with this, so I would just write, for me, I'm just going to write 78 months that he receives 3,000. He's going to get 78. He will receive a 3,000, and then I might payment with a little left. Yeah, it's with a little left or whatever. You can, it doesn't matter. This, you won't probably get this in the exam. They'll be a little bit more clear cut, but just to show you in a sec, if you did get something like this, as long as you're justifying your answer, you're actually, well, you're correct. So it's okay. You could be writing it, saying it differently. Assume the interest rate is still 5% per annum and Joe wishes to be paid monthly for 10 years. How much will be regularly received each month? So we've still got our finance solver we're gonna do, and obviously payment is the question. So they're saying when he is at this 5% for 10 years, so 10 times 12, and he's still investing that 200,000. They're asking you how much will he receive regularly, so that's the payment. Sorry, and FV is going to be 0 because we want to zero it off at monthly. So if we do that, we're going to see this number he's going to receive. It's positive because it's his money and the bank's giving it back out to him. So he's going to get a payment of 21.31. All right, and then D, if Joe receives regular payment found in C, so if he receives that, what for 119 months, what will the final payment be? So because this is 10 years times 12 would be 120. So we want the final payment. We want to know what that is. So remember what I said, when you're doing final payment, you want to go to the end of the scenario and find out what PPY is. So I'm like saying you got to find out what that is. So we're going to the end of scenario, which would be 10 times 12. We're still saying 5%. We're still investing 200,000, but they want me to put this payment that I found in. So I'm doing that because we know, because we've rounded, we're going to get something a little bit either owing or extra. So when we do that, we end up with 0.05. Now that's a positive. So this is positive. So the bank owes you, or bank owes him, owes whatever his name is, Joe. The bank owes Joe. So remember, this is an annuity. He's receiving his own money, or it's the bank giving it to him. So, sorry, I'm just going to do it up here. So the last payment, that 20th payment is going to be his regular payment of 212131 plus the extra 5 cents, because the bank's like, nah, we're not keeping this investment open for that 5 cents. You can have it. So it ends up being 2121.36.